Let you know once we are live. Okay, so I think we might be live on YouTube. I just need to just double check.
It's literally.
Yeah, I think we are live. Let's just triple check that. Yeah, we are live. Okay, cool. So that's us on YouTube. Yeah, I think we are live. Mute that. Fab. And then we'll go live on TikTok.
Yeah, so they banned me for.
Okay, so that's counting down, and then I'll just make you a moderator, Derek, and then we should be good to go. Should be good to go.
Yep, we're good.
Trinity. I wonder as well whether I couldn't, we could do like a TikTok live and actually have like a group live on TikTok at some point.
Yeah, that'd be.
That's easier, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think that you have to have over like 1,000 followers to go live.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether we can join everyone in anyway, or whether you need to like
You've got 1,000, haven't you?
Yeah, I do, but I want, if you guys was to come on, you'd need it.
I think you only have to be a host, and then you can invite us in maybe. I don't know. I can't get any followers to save my life.
But you need, I think you could do more videos with you talking to screen.
I just started, I know. I just made like 5 or 6, I think.
It's not my bag.
It's my first one, so I only did it because she said I did a good job last time, so boosted my confidence.
Yeah,
okay. Sorry, my message about putting a screen on the back of me Zoom. I don't know.
Putting a background on.
Yeah.
I think what you do, I'll just say hey to everyone watching on YouTube, hey to everyone on TikTok. What you do is you go on Zoom up in the top corner. Can you go on preferences? Do you know where that is?
Yeah. Okay.
And then there should be a thing called background and effects.
Right, got it. Thanks, Gabby. Okay.
So guys, TikTok, we're doing the chapter 3 reading of the Emerald Tablets. So I don't know if any of you guys caught our first 2 chapters. And the same for YouTube. Hey guys, hey everyone, thanks for joining us. We're doing a live Zoom call on my YouTube. So if you want to actually join and comment and actually read the Emerald Tablets with us, then I'm going to be sharing my screen on our YouTube, so you'll be able to actually read it with us. My YouTube is Gabby Zakara. Or just join us on TikTok, and I'll try and answer your guys' questions and see what you guys have got to say as well. And if you have read the Emerald Tablets before, comment, because it's so cool. I love the Emerald Tablets so much. And really, just to give a bit of a intro as to why I chose the Emerald Tablets. When I was started on my spiritual awakening and my spiritual journey, I started looking into what true spiritual enlightenment is. Because Buddhism talks about enlightenment. I use the word enlightenment, and there are different, thank you so much. There are different terms that people use for enlightenment. There's a term called like the holy science. There's like raising the chrism, raising your kundalini. And I noticed that like all the different religions were all teaching this same one truth about how to become spiritually enlightened. And so when I was looking into all this, one of the first things that I read was the Emerald Tablets. And I wasn't like into religion, like growing up. And so the Emerald Tablets for me was like nice and open, because it wasn't like having to read, like, say, the Bible or the Quran or something that's very indoctrinated in religion. It was like an open thing that I was able to just read without any kind of feeling like any bias. And just see the truth in it. And then it was able to open me up to see the truths, those same truths in the religious texts, like the Bible, like the Quran, like all the different scriptures. So the Emerald Tablets for me was just like really eye-opening, and it's not too long as well. So I feel like it's just accessible for everyone, really. And what I like to share most and teach most is what true spiritual enlightenment is. And so while we read these Emerald Tablets, we're going to basically be talking about spiritual enlightenment and how they pertain to teaching you how to become spiritually enlightened. When I started on this journey, I kind of like learned that every single like ascended master that ever came down, so whether that's like Jesus, like Krishna, Buddha, Muhammad, they all came to teach this same truth. And it's the same truth taught in different times, in different ages, in different eras. And so I just kind of see the oneness and the unity and everything, and I want to be able to kind of share that and express that as well. So what we would do first is I'm going to share my screen on YouTube. If you do follow us on YouTube, you'll be able to actually read along with us. If not, just listen. It's still as exciting. And can you guys see that okay? My YouTube group. Right, fab. So what I thought we would do is just literally do a bit of like a overview really on like what the first two chapters had. So the Emerald Tablets, it's similar to the Kybalion. They were written by a guy called Thoth the Atlantean. Thoth is the same god as Hermes. He is Mercury. He is the messenger god. And so Thoth came down and he was like a master magician. He was a king. He was an ascended master, and he came down to humanity around the time of Atlantis. He ruled the earth, and he basically he became spiritually enlightened and brought the information and wisdom of a spiritual enlightenment to the people at the time, and basically tried to share the wisdom and help everyone else become spiritually enlightened. And he did succeed. And these Emerald Tablets basically were written when he was at the time where he was about to leave again. So what we learned in the first and second chapter was that when you do become spiritually enlightened, you don't die. You can't die by the hands of man, and you literally live forever. So he was here and he was living like age after age, like generation after generation. He was here and reigning as king for thousands of years. And what had happened is over that time, people around him, they'd all become enlightened. It was like almost like a golden age, a golden era of people living their highest selves. And then what happened was man started to descend again. And so by this point, he's kind of like done his job, and he was ready to go back to heaven and leave and be like, hey, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to heaven. Humanity is descending again. And basically it was time for him to just go back to heaven, leave the Emerald Tablets and the wisdom for those who had the eyes and ears to see and hear. And then eventually he was basically saying like, look after these teachings and one day I will return. So I'm just going to try and get to the first and second chapters. What he basically talked about in the first and second chapter was he was given like a backstory as to how he became enlightened. He didn't exactly say how, but his story of becoming enlightened and why he kind of decided to leave. And he talks about the Great Flood, which I thought was interesting because obviously all the different religions talk about this Great Flood. And he was talking about how the Great Flood got rid of most of the bad people on the earth. And he also said, which I found really interesting, that he actually built the Great Pyramid. And I was like really interested in this because the Great Pyramids, I was thinking, were they built by giants? Were they built by like sound technology? Is that how they lifted up the big stones, just through sound and frequency and stuff like that? And then to read this and Thoth saying actually he created the pyramids through magic, I thought that was a really interesting theory that I'd not heard of before. And what he'd also talked about was that in the Great Pyramid, he'd basically built it as a enlightenment chamber, and he'd put a crystal, some kind of Atlantean crystal, in the base of this Great Pyramid. And basically what he said was, if you go into the Great Pyramid and if your body is basically clean and you've lived the path of how to become enlightened, which is like basically like fasting, having a clean temple, which is your body, eating like vegan, raising your vibration and clearing and aligning all your chakras. He basically said that when you walk into this great temple, it will enlighten you. And he'd built that temple to basically enlighten anyone who went into it, but you had to have been basically walking this correct path. So again, like really interesting how he was talking about all this same stuff and the secrets he was talking about fasting. And we were talking in the second chapter about how when you fast, your body goes into a state called ketosis and it aligns your chakras. And so when your chakras are aligned and then you walk into the Great Pyramid and it's got this vibrational frequency that will ascend your kundalini up to the top, it can go all the way up to the top because your chakras are aligned. Now, just to talk about like what spiritual enlightenment is, I'm going to just explain the spiritual side of things, and then I'm going to ask Derek if you won't mind talking about the actual biochemical process, because it's something, like I said, that Buddhism talks about, and a lot of people think like, what even is it? Like, does it just mean to be able to be present in the moment? Does it mean that you have like meditated for like hours on end? Like, what actually is enlightenment? And not only that, but like, who can attain it? So everyone can attain spiritual enlightenment. That's why all the ascended masters came down to teach it, because they came to show us how to do it. They didn't come down just to like become enlightened and then basically like show off and say, oh, look at me, I'm enlightened, and just be these gods on earth and that's it. The only reason they descended down to the earth plane was to help us ascend back up and become like stars and luminaries and gods and goddesses just like them. So everyone can attain enlightenment, and you can attain it in one lifetime as well. You can attain it in like under a year if you want to. There's different, there's a path to walk to get there, and you can basically, it can take a while or it can be very quick depending on how much work you put in on the journey. So spiritually, there's some rules to becoming enlightened. You need to be like doing the shadow work. You need to have a clean temple, like I was saying. Your temple is your vessel, so you need to fill it with light. If you want to become a sun god and ascend and be like the sun, which is like Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ is the sun. He's literally the Son of God. It's the sun. So if you want to become a sun yourself, you need to fill yourself with the energy and the light of the sun. So the people talk about building your chi. This is your sexual life force energy. And I've talked before about not expelling your chi. But the ways you can build your chi and fill yourself with light and the light of the sun, one of the best ways is by eating raw vegan food. So with the sun, when the sun shines on the plants and the trees and the fruit and stuff, it imbues it with the sun's life force and the sun's energy. If you literally go and eat those plants with the life force in it, then you become the light of the sun. You ingest the energy of the sun. If you cook the food and you heat it over a certain temperature, it kills the life force in it. So you're basically not really getting the light anymore. So you want to be eating light. Animal products don't have light in because they're dead. because you have to kill the animal to eat the food. And so when you have to kill anything to eat it, that's when the life force is not there anymore. So you want to be filling yourself with light, which is raw vegan food, basically. So you build up your chi, and when you expel your chi, which you can do through like orgasm or being over emotional and stuff, then you're giving away your life force energy. But what you want to do is you want to build your life force energy. You want to build your light and your chi in you, because the more you build it, you fill your chakras with light, and you ascend your kundalini, which is like an energetic serpent within you. You ascend them up into the crown chakra, but you need enough chi for it actually to go up. You also get chi every month when the moon is in your star sign. You can get chi abundantly from nature, but you need to just build it. So build your chi, and then once you've built enough chi, you can ascend your kundalini up to the crown chakra, and it basically illuminates your nervous system. It activates your dormant DNA. It unifies your soul. This is true spiritual enlightenment, and you'll notice a load of different religions talking about this in metaphorical ways. And it's basically this serpent that you hear about in religion and stuff. So this is like the spiritual side of things. This is what happens on the energetic level, but something actually physically happens into your biochemistry when you're doing this work. So Derek's going to share, basically you're going to share, aren't you, like what's happening on the physical level, because it's a physical thing that happens within your body. So if you wouldn't mind sharing that for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to start with the seed is planted once a month when your moon is in your sun sign. But what's most important to know is everything you just said is you have to prepare your temple for that seed. So yeah, that seed's only born once a month, but it doesn't mean that you can live that other way, that other path, the other 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks of the month. You have to have that temple, that vessel prepared. So when you have that temple prepared, there is the seed that's born in your solar plexus. This is Joseph and Mary in the Bible. This is the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. So Joseph is pineal, and then Mary would be the pituitary, the land of the milk and honey. Joseph is electricity, the pineal gland. Pituitary is magnetic. So that is your electric and that is your magnetic. When that seed is born in the solar plexus, it is just the same as above, so below. That's you falling from grace. And then you falling from grace down to earth, or this realm. So inside of you, the seed falls from grace, from the pineal gland down. It goes down to your solar plexus, just like the moon, the solstice, the sun sits 2.5, 3 days. This seed sits in the tomb for 2.5 to 3 days, waiting to be raised. This is Jesus coming out of the tomb, rolling away the stone, which is your sacrum. This is your sacrum bone at the bottom, your 5 fused bones. These are your 5 earthly senses. When you can overcome these 5 earthly senses, then you raise above. As that oil raises back up Jacob's ladder, or Jack and the beanstalk, Jack and his magic beanstalk, that oil will vibrate. As that oil vibrates, it'll cross the vagus nerve. This is where it gets crucified or multiplied 1,000-fold. That's what goes on in your body. So what I really found interesting with all this is when you can apply it to every religion, spiritual or non-spiritual, the Bible, your body, what goes on, science. It's astrophysics. It's what's in the stars is literally going on inside of your body. So as that oil gets up, it reaches your pineal gland again. This is heaven. Heaven means to heave up. That oil is being heaved back up to where it came from, where it belongs, where its soul belongs. Once it gets there, it unlocks or activates your dormant brain cells. So this is your God force. This is where Jacob saw God face to face, and he named this land Peniel. It's spelled a little bit differently, but it's the same thing. It's the pineal gland. This is God. This is the Eye of Ra, and that is the best way I can describe it.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much. that is literally so much better than what I could have explained, which is why I asked you to share that for us. Thank you. So like literally, as you said, it's this truth of what happens in our bodies is all over. And there's like an axiom, I think it's as above, so below, and as within, so without. And so, yeah, literally everything that happens in the heavens and the stars, it is all a reflection of an internal process within as well. And it's just amazing just how connected our bodies are to the cosmos and to the universe. We are all the cosmos and the universe. And so, yeah, I just love this truth so much. So what I'm going to do is share, we're going to start on chapter 3 of the Emerald Tablets. Let's see if we can find it. To anyone who's just joined us, we are reading the Emerald Tablets. We're on chapter 3. And we're just going to be going through them on my YouTube channel. I'm sharing my screen here. So if you do want to share and come and read them with us, you can do that, or just have a listen here on TikTok as well. And hey to everyone on YouTube as well. I'm going to try and read everyone's comments. Selena, hey, I love seeing your comments and stuff, so it's nice to have you here. Okay, so in the first 2 chapters then, Thoth was really just talking about how he became enlightened, how he met God. God guided him through different things. And this is what Derek was talking about when he came face to face and with God and named the place pineal or whatever it is. It's literally your pineal gland is your seat to the spiritual realm and to speaking to and connecting with God. So that's what happened to Thoth as well. He experienced enlightenment. And one of the things that I found interesting in chapter 2 as well is it was talking about when Thoth did become enlightened, God said to him, right, you're an enlightened master. You will literally now will live forever. You're a master magician, like you can be king and all this kind of stuff. Because he had the spiritual power of the gods, he'd ascended his ego. He'd basically incarnated his highest light. He was given that power and authority to rule over the earth. But God said to him, choose your labor. So what he was saying was, Thoth, you can have all this, you can be a god on this plane, but you still have to live on this plane. You still have to like do your washing, like do your dishes. Like I know obviously like it's a different time, but what God was saying was, because you are on the earth plane, you still have to live life. Like you, just because you're an ascended master and now a god on this plane, you still have to do the earthly stuff. And that's an important thing to be aware of as well. Like when you are on the spiritual path to enlightenment, or when you do attain enlightenment, is actually, it's not like suddenly you get to be like an ascended master and boss everyone about like and stuff like that. It's literally like you have to still be humble and live the earthly life for as long as you want to stay here. I'm just going to see, Derek, did you have your hand up?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say the pyramid. That Phil Donahue says it, that the pyramid is God's physical representation on Earth. That's why it's missing the capstone. So that represents your pineal gland. That's why all the mathematics, all the secrets of the universe are encoded within it. So I do believe that Thoth built it with magic, because you still can't make it make sense with construction, and it's not supposed to make sense. You know, all these allegories and symbolic meanings have layers upon layers of meaning, but that's the best representation for God's presence here on Earth, or when I say God, I mean creator, our source, right? So that is the pineal gland. That's its representation.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. What I was thinking as well about this chapter 3, just before we go on, is chapter 1 and 2, who's talking about a backstory. So I'm kind of like reading this again. I've not read this in like a few years. I'm reading it with you guys, so I've not like prepared or anything, but he's not yet shared a lot about his own journey on how he actually became enlightened. He's just more talked about his life up until now. So it'd be interesting to get more information from this text about the actual physical process that Derek was sharing with us before. So this chapter 3 is called The Key of Wisdom. So we're just going to start reading. So I, Thoth, the Atlantean, give of my wisdom, give of my knowledge, give of my power. Freely I give to the children of men. Give that they too might have wisdom to shine through the world from the veil of night. Wisdom is power, and power is wisdom, one with each other, perfecting the whole. Be thou not proud, O man, in thy wisdom. Discourse with the ignorant as well as the wise. If one comes to thee full of knowledge, listen and heed, for wisdom is all. Keep thou not silent when evil is spoken, for truth, like the sunlight, shines above all. He who oversteppeth the law shall be punished, for only through law comes the freedom of men. Follow thine heart during thy lifetime, do thou more than is commanded of thee. When thou hast gained riches, follow thou thine heart, for all these are of no avail if thine heart be weary. Diminish thou not the time of following thine heart, it is abhorred of the soul. They that are guided go not astray, but they that are lost cannot find a straight path. If thou go among men, make for thyself love the beginning and end of the heart. If one cometh unto thee for counsel, let him speak freely, that the thing for which he hath come to thee may be done. If he hesitates to open his heart to thee, it is because thou, the judge, doeth thee wrong. Repeat thou not extravagant speech, neither listen thou to it, for it is the utterance of one not in equilibrium. Speak thou not of it, so that he before thee may know wisdom. Silence is of great profit, and abundance of speech profiteth nothing. Thou exalt not thine heart above the children of men, lest it be brought lower than the dust. If thou be great among men, be honoured for knowledge and gentleness. If thou seekest to know the nature of a friend, ask not his companion, but pass a time alone with him. Debate him, testing his heart by his words and his bearing. That which goeth into the storehouse must come forth, and the things that are thine must be shared with a friend. Knowledge is regarded by the fool as ignorance, and the things that are profitable to him hurtful. Profitable are to him hurtful. He liveth in death, it is therefore his food. The wise man lets his heart overflow, but keeps silent his mouth. O man, list to the voice of wisdom, list to the voice of light. Mysteries there are in the cosmos that unveiled fill the world with their light. Let he who would be free from the bonds of darkness first divine the material from the immaterial, the fire from the earth. For know ye that as earth descends to earth, so also fire ascends unto fire and becomes one with fire. He who knows the fire that is within himself shall ascend until the eternal fire and dwell in it eternally. Fire, the inner fire, is the most potent of all force, for it overcometh all things and penetrates to all things of the earth. Man supports himself only on that which resists. So earth must resist man, else he existeth not. All eyes do not see with the same vision, for to one an object appears of one form and colour, and to a different eye of another. So also the infinite fire, changing from colour to colour, is never the same from day to day. Thus speak I, Thoth, of my wisdom, for man is a fire burning bright through the night, never is quenched in the veil of the darkness, never is quenched by the veil of the night. Hark ye, O man, and list to this wisdom, where do name and form cease, only in consciousness, invisible, and infinite force of radiance bright. The forms that ye create by brightening thy vision are truly effects that follow thy cause. Man is a star bound to a body until in the end he is freed through his strife. Only struggle and toiling thy utmost shall the star within thee bloom out in new life. He who knows the commencement of all things, free is his star from the realms of the night. Remember, O man, that all which exists is only another form of that which exists not. Everything that has being is passing into yet other being, and thou thyself are not an exception. Consider the law, for all is law. Seek not that which is not of the law, for such exists only in the illusions of the senses. Wisdom cometh to all her children, even as they cometh unto wisdom. All through the ages the light has been hidden. Awake, O man, and be wise. Deep in the mysteries of life have I travelled, seeking and searching for that which is hidden. List ye, O man, and be wise. Far neath the earth's crust, in the halls of Amenti, mysteries I saw that are hidden from men. Often have I journeyed the deep hidden passage, looked on the light that is life among men. There, neath the flowers of life, ever living, searched I the hearts and the secrets of men. Found I that man is but living in darkness. Light of the great fire is hidden within. Before the lords of hidden Amenti learned I the wisdom I gave unto men. Masters are they of the great secret wisdom, brought from the future of infinity's end. 7 are they, the lords of Amenti, overlords, they of the children of the morning, sons of the cycles, masters of wisdom. Formed are not they as the children of men? 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9 are the titles of the masters of men. Far from the future, formless, yet forming, came they as teachers for all the children of men. Live they forever, yet not of the living, bound not to life, and yet free from death. Rule they forever with infinite wisdom, bound yet not bound to the dark halls of death. Life they have in them, yet life that is not life, free from all are the lords of the all. Forth from them came the fourth, the Logos, instruments they of the power over all. Vast is their countenance, yet hidden in smallness, formed by a forming, known yet unknown. 3 holds the key of all hidden magic, creator he of the halls of the dead, sending forth power, shrouding with darkness, binding the souls of the children of men, sending the darkness, binding the soul force, director of negative to the children of men. 4 is he who loses the power, Lord, he of life to the children of men. Light is his body, flame is his countenance, freer of souls to the children of men. 5 is the master, the Lord of all magic, key to the word that resounds among men. 6 is the Lord of light, the hidden pathway, part of the souls of the children of men. 7 is he who is Lord of the vastness, master of space and the key of the times. 8 is he who orders the progress, weighs and balances the journey of men. 9 is the Father, vast he of countenance, forming and changing from out of the formless. Meditate on the symbols I give thee, keys are they, though hidden from men. Reach ever upward, O soul of the morning, turn thy thoughts upward to the light and to life. Find in the keys of the numbers I bring thee, light on the pathway from life unto life. Seek ye with wisdom, turn thy thoughts inwards, close not thy mind to the flower of light. Place in thy body a thought-formed picture, think of the numbers that lead thee to life. Clear is the pathway to he who has wisdom, open the door to the kingdom of light. Pour forth thy flame as a son of the morning, shut out the darkness and live in the day. Take thee, O man, as part of thy being, the 7 who are but are not as they seem. Opened, O man, have I my wisdom, Follow the path in the way I have led. Masters of wisdom, son of the morning, light and life to the children of men. So usually I like to kind of read a little paragraph and then go into it all, but I just felt, called to just read that whole thing and then go through it and dissect it now that we've kind of read it all as a whole. I find it interesting, anyone who's joined us on TikTok or YouTube, we've got a group together on Zoom at the minute, and we were all talking about numerology. We were talking about the power of these different numbers and the magic of the different numbers. And I find it interesting, just to kind of kick it off, when they were just describing here about these different numbers, almost like they were different gods, like different types of energy that were ruling over different aspects of our lives and stuff. Let's just see where it was here. They were talking about, here we go. So 3 holds the magic, 4 is he who loses the power, 5 is the master, the lord of all magic. I was just thinking, this is so interesting because it's almost like he's trying to tell us here in this wisdom paragraph about the secret to numerology. What do you guys think?
Yeah, there's so much in that. There's a lot in that hidden. I want to start with, I use the Bible a lot, not just the Bible, but all religion, because those are sacred doctrines that we've turned into myth that we easily discredit. So just because I use the Bible a lot, I use it in the fact that it's a hidden message, right? But where was that? It said 3 to 9. It didn't start at 1. So 3 to 9 is 6. Yeah. Well, 6 is earthly. It's 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. So 6 is man. That is man's present. That's man on earth and manly things. 3 holds the key. That would be, I believe, electricity, dielectricity, and magnetism.
Mm. Which is literally what the whole of the cosmos is created from. It's the Trinity, isn't it?
Yeah. And then the fire through, the fire it speaks of is the fire through baptism, not baptism through water, but it's fire through that's baptism through the final element of fire, from earth to water to air to fire. And then you break that last element. And that is what that baptism through fire is. That is when that oil gets all the way up. That is the same process. When it reaches the vagus nerve, it's vibrating so high, it's a gas at this point. It's no longer an oil. This is separating, water and oil, or turning water into wine. It vibrates so high, now it's a gaseous, and now it affects the pineal brain differently.
That is so on point. And I was just looking at the comments as well. Philippe had said something. Do you want to chat, Philippe, about what you mentioned in the comments?
Well, nothing too much, but Soph and all of them, since they're ascended, and their understanding and connection with the universe is a little deeper. They manifested the pyramids, so it's it is magic, but it's manifestation. So we manifest things, but it's delayed because of time and having to understand what it is we are bringing into the life. But since they understand what it is they want and are doing, their manifestation's a lot quicker. So it's just an instant thing in this plane, and that's what it would seem like.
Definitely, because they have less limiting beliefs for a start. They know that they can do that, but also something we were talking about, thinking the last talk, was that in different ages as well, things kind of manifest quicker and slower. And so it's possible in the golden age, the vibration was so much higher that it's people say that when you're in heaven, or even when you're just in the astral realm, you have a thought and it happens straight away. Whereas on this plane, you have a thought and it takes a while to manifest. And so the higher up the frequency is, the quicker you do manifest. And it's possible that if the whole of humanity in this time period was ascended, then the heaven on earth, people probably were manifesting pretty instantly. That's something that I think is coming back as well, not just magic, but art and manifestation abilities. And especially with going into the age of Aquarius, that is all going to be about mental energy anyway. exciting to think about what's coming. Because
It is. It's amazing.
Apparently this year everything's going to be speeding up. Manifestations are just coming through thick and fast. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. Has anyone actually experienced their own manifestations like happening quickly themselves?
Yeah, I've actually been looking for a new place to live, and I plan to move from where I am in March, and I got told I actually have to move sooner. I didn't realise that, and within 24 hours, I'd found somewhere I wanted to move to. It was in a location that I wanted to move to, and it was just ideally suited to me. And that was within 24 hours of receiving the news that I had to go up. So it did me a favour, nudging me at that point, being given the news anyway, which could have been looked on as, oh, bugger, you know, like I've been given some bad news, but just engaged me in a process of manifesting something that I really wanted to occur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you were saying it pushed you to do that. We had a comment from Selena. Let me just mute that. We had a comment from Selena on YouTube. In the actual text, it was talking about how struggling makes us look inward. It was saying about how it can be the struggle that turns us to the wisdom, and actually going through that journey of the pain and the struggle that does that. And so Selena had pointed that out as well, that is often those times in life where we do turn inward and we go, right, like you kind of like face yourself and overcome yourself. And I believe that is kind of the main way to become enlightened and to do all the shadow work on the journey. So just to kind of like, we've obviously read it in full, but just to kind of like, let's have a look at it again in the order of how it's written, and just kind of talk paragraph to paragraph about like what we can like see in there and stuff like that. So Thoth obviously gained all his wisdom and his knowledge, and he said he gives freely to the children of men. So in the paragraph 1 and chapter 1 and 2, he was talking about the difference between the children of men and the children of light. So what he was talking about is children of men are basically like souls who are on the earth plane, who have not yet ascended, and they might have been angels and stars in the past and in heaven in the past and descended. But what he's talking about is children of men are those souls who are trying to ascend again, but they're just kind of stuck on the earth plane. And then he talks about children of light. Hey, Andrew. Yes, next time definitely join us on the Zoom. It was nice to have you last time. But yeah, the children of light are basically star beings, or basically souls who have already ascended and who are on the higher planes, who have chosen to come down at specific times to help the children of men ascend back up and become star beings and children of light like them. So basically these children of light are coming down to help teach enlightenment and help everyone become enlightened. This is what Thoth did as well. And so he talks here about giving his wisdom to the children of men, the beings on this plane who have stayed here and who have kind of been trapped here, because the earth plane is kind of like a in-between plane of heaven and hell. People might even call it like a purgatory style plane. So we all want to actually ascend upwards into the higher planes. Like heaven exists. Heaven's like really nice place to be. Like we do want to be living in the higher realms, because in the higher realms there is no pain, whereas on the earth plane you've got both love and you've also got pain. And then any planes lower than the earth plane is like pain without love. So some people go, oh, do you know what, the earth's really nice, so like I'm happy staying on this earth plane, it's fun. Well, then you've not really thought about what heaven is like. And you don't need to be experiencing pain. You don't need to be stuck here. And people get trapped here. And this is what people talk about, the matrix trap. And like you try and leave, and then you follow this false light, and then you get brought back here. And basically on this plane, there have been beings, dark beings, who have been feeding off our energy and trying to keep us here so that they can stay on this plane and feed off our energy. And so we want to basically like cut all that now, and ascend and leave those dark beings to just swim in their own shite down here on their own. Like, we don't want to be feeding them our energy anymore. So this is what the ascension's about at the minute, this whole spiritual awakening people are experiencing. Hi everyone. And so yeah, we're going through it again, we're going through this ascension, and so just to look at this, then we were talking as well about how Thoth had to, even though he wanted to stay here, he can be a magician, he can be a king, he can rule over this earth. He's talking about staying humble still and still having to live this earthly life and keep one foot on the ground. And so he's talking about, even though you might become wise, even if you do ascend and become an enlightened master on this plane, don't be like proud. Pride is of the ego. Like, it's basically, he's talking about kind of being humble, staying in your heart and helping and teaching others as well, rather than kind of using it or seeing yourself as now being like better than everyone else because you're an ascended master and other people aren't. So what I really love, this particular line here, it says, keep thou not silent when evil is spoken, for truth like the sunlight shines above all. So how relevant is this line for life today? Like, how often do we see like fake news, or like people just spreading misinformation, or even just becoming aware now of how every word we say is a spell? When you see people like, this is one thing that I've noticed a lot recently, is once you become aware of, say, you know, the satanic stuff that's been happening in Hollywood and things like that, and it's the kind of the stuff that's been going on like behind the scenes and under like the rug that is coming to light now. When we call them certain names, like we say they are the P word, yeah, the things that they're doing, we call them that name, we cast that spell upon them from saying that word, and we actually create that more and more through our spells and through our paying attention to it and feeding it our energy to it. Where energy goes, where attention goes, energy flows. So when you see evil, it's good to like correct it, but it's also talking about truth, and light is shines above all. The light will always win. The truth will always prevail. But when evil is spoken, so the word spoken, for me, this is why I said about the spells and stuff, because any kind of like negative spell that you might cast, any kind of word you say that's casting negative spells on anyone, even if they are evil, if they're not evil, when you bitch about people, when you label people, when you say all these things about them, this is casting spells. And so it's important to become aware of our words. And if you do come across anyone casting negative spells, or even if you're hearing like falsities in the world, it's important to always share the truth and speak the truth and share your light and shine your light as much as you can. I kind of feel like there's so much crap going on in the world. It's easy to be going, oh my God, look at this, look at that. Oh my God, they're going to try and push agenda, whatever. They're going to try and roll out the New World Order. It's so easy to be focusing on all that. And then there was this one night when I was laying in bed and I thought, I don't know, like if I have once spent at least 10 minutes visualizing the world that I want to manifest, you know, like visualizing everyone being like united, everyone loving each other, everyone being kind to each other, visualizing like this most divine heaven on earth place. Like even just being on TikTok, I'm on TikTok and my For You page is all the crap that's going on. And it's like, yeah, it's important to be aware of it, but I've just not even spent a second trying to visualize and focus this new earth and this new positive world that I want to focus on. So just be in the sunlight, like trying to focus on the positive. He who oversteppeth the law shall be punished, for only through law comes the freedom of men. So there's God's law and then there's man's law. So man's law is all this maritime law. It's all the, you know, I'm just following orders and everything else that goes with it. And then there's God's law, and God's law is the, say, like the 10 Commandments, but it's also this process of doing the spiritual work, becoming spiritually enlightened, keeping your vibration high, having positive thoughts, casting positive spells, all the stuff that everyone here is trying to do in their day-to-day life. And so you can't ignore God's law. God's law will always override man's law, and God's law is coming back. So when he's talking about here, if you overstep the law, you should be punished, he's talking about God's law. He's not talking about man's law. And if you've ever read the Kybalion, you'll know there's plenty of different laws of the cosmos. There's different kind of laws of how the cosmos is governed, and it's important to be aware of them, because it's kind of like the way that the universe works. Like there's a law of cause and effect as an example, which is similar to karma, basically. So to be aware that every cause, every action has an effect and things like that. It's important to become aware of the laws, and then you can live by God's law. Craig, did you want to say something?
Yeah, so God, yeah, I see God's law, natural law, the same. You know, if you're gonna overstep of the law of gravity, for instance, then you'll be punished. Just to be trite a little bit. But yeah, you're correct, and there's a lot of study going on with the law at the moment. Actually, I'm in quite a few groups where law is being, because we're being imprisoned by these sort of various maritime man-made laws at the moment, and they're using them to pin us down and bring in various, restrictions, COVID, etc. So yeah, the law as it stands that we're abiding by is just sort of the sum of agreements of men. So we're agreeing to the law, and if it's not an agreement, then it's not the law. So yeah, just interesting how where he's saying if you overstep of the law, you should be punished.
Mm-hmm.
And that translates into being God's law, natural law, and also if you overstep of man's law, you'll be punished. But obviously, the degrees of punishment are different with regard to man's law and God's law. Yeah, I don't know if I actually there, but yeah.
Philip, did you want to say something?
I'm still learning lots of stuff, and from what I've read recently or found recently is like the way the group of people that are manipulating us into lower densities and negative emotions and things like that to control us, they have to let us know what they're doing to have the right to do it, basically, so their karma doesn't backfire on them immediately or something like that. So they subtly tell us, like subconsciously, with like hidden words between things, or that we see subconsciously and read and understand subconsciously and don't realize we notice it. So it's best to just not agree to it, just deny the realities they're trying to push down on you. Like they're trying to say there's all this war going on and all this P-word things happening, all these types of stuff. It's best to say, I don't agree to that reality, and then that'll help your subconscious, I believe, manifest not what they're trying to do, from my understanding of things I'm learning, in my opinion. Yes.
1,000%. Like they think that they can escape karma if they tell you in a subconscious way, because then you are agreeing to it, and it's like you're asking for it, and somehow it seems like it's worked because they're still here. They've been here for like thousands of years, like keep reincarnating into like the bloodline families without actually going down to hell. So like, but somehow they've been managing to escape it. And I love that you've said that. That's like something I've not thought about, but I'm definitely going to try saying that now, like, because you kind of think they tell you these things like, what can I actually do to say no other than just not comply? But still, you could have like people knocking on your door at some point where like you physically have to fight for your life. But remembering that we manifest our reality and stuff, and we have the power within our words and our thoughts to, even in our own bedroom, just say, I do not consent to this timeline and this lifestyle and stuff. that gives you the power back, because we are magicians. And part of me thinks like the way that we're actually going to win this war in the end is us being master magicians behind closed doors, like manifesting this reality, not needing to go and protest and try and change laws, but actually like doing the manifestation work and using our spiritual power to actually change the world and stuff. Derek, did you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah. So no, everything that they just said is 100% true. I mean, the thing I think to keep in mind is not to focus too much on that stuff, you know, to take the truth out of it, the learning lessons out of it, but don't let it hold you back. Don't let it create negativity. In that passage, it talked about the straight path. That's not the left brain or the right brain, but that's the pineal gland, which is right in the middle. It's the door, it's the house in the middle. That's the straight path. So the Kundalini is no longer Kundalini when you practice negativity or you're consumed with whatever you might put that placeholder as. It's now Kunda buffer. So Kunda buffer is that same energy applied negatively. So that's just something to keep in mind, is that energy is always going to be there. But now if you're focusing too much on those negative aspects, that energy is now going towards that cosmically. And then there was another, Joe had posted, made a great comment in the chat about the 7 and the 7 words of freedom, something along those lines. And I just wanted to touch real quick on the number side of that. Is the most used word in the Bible is the word 7. It's 7 chakras. Your 7 planetary energies. It's 7. Uranus is one time around is 84 years. That's 7 times 12. Well, then 8 plus 4 is 12. Jupiter one time around is 12, as in the 12 houses of the zodiac. Saturn is 29 and a half years. How often does your oil secrete from your pineal gland? Every 29 and a half days. L is Ra-El, Isis Ra-El, that's Saturn, your pineal gland. That is L, electricity.
Fab. Joe, would you actually expand on what you were saying as well for anyone that is interested in the 7 you were talking about as well? You'll have to unmute your mic.
I'm reading a book called Freedom Isn't Just a 7-letter word, because of the grand deception, and it's all about natural law. So the sun doesn't invoice us, the water doesn't invoice us, the earth doesn't invoice us, the air doesn't invoice us. So everything on the land really is there for us, but we're getting invoiced for everything that we do. So it's all about natural law. It's really interesting. Oh, I can't say it, can you?
That sounds awesome. And it's so true. Do you know what? Something interesting I heard, and I know that like a lot of people don't believe that in the second coming of Jesus Christ. I do. I never used to. And then I found out that one of my main guides is Jesus, and basically he's told me that he is returning. But regardless of that, the New World Order, that like obviously people are saying that it's like a bad thing. We are like, I don't know if they've tried to hijack the actual New World Order that God's planned, or whether God's hijacking theirs, but there's a lot of similarities between the one like unified world that is coming for the golden age and their New World Order. And it's almost like they're trying to set it up for when I believe that Christ is going to return and become king of the world. But what I found really interesting is I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but the Queen or the royal family actually own all of the land of the whole world. Like, have you heard of that before? Like, that they actually own. So I'm like, hang on. Like, so when Christ comes back, in my opinion, he literally, when he becomes king, will own all the world, like all the land. So what I really like about us taking back our power and everything else that goes with it is with the new golden age, whether you believe it's coming or not, whether you believe that we will end up just getting back our powers without a governing force, it's nice that we will have all of our own freedoms back. We will have our land back. We'll have our water back. We'll have our air back without having to pay for it and stuff, as it was meant to. We'll be children of the earth as God wanted us to be, with all of these things as a God-given right, rather than having to pay for it like as if we owe someone for it. So I love that that's all coming. I don't know like how long it's going to be and stuff, but yeah,
Can I
Derek.
add something to that real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, the queen, if you look at the old pictures of her, underneath her chair is supposed to be the stone of scones. So that oil is in your sacrum, your 5 bones that fuse, your 5 earthly senses. Well, in the Bible, Jacob laid his head upon 5 stones. When he woke up, it was no longer 5 stones, it was now singular. It was a stone, 1 stone. So the queen underneath that chair is a stone, and they claim that to be the literal stone that Jacob was anointed his head upon, which is literal,
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to add.
Great, go for it.
Yeah, so a couple of things there. I'll go backwards from the return of Jesus. So I think it's more, and this has been discussed with a few people I know. We're thinking more, it's rather than Jesus himself as a figure returning, it's more the consciousness of Christ returning to each of us as individuals. So, and with the revelations of the current times, then Christ consciousness is expedited in returning to us, because we're able to then decipher what's truly evil and what's going on in the world that's been hidden for millennia now, and these evil characters that have been holding all this stuff back from us and getting us to subconsciously and subliminally agree and consent to their rules of power, and like you were saying before, getting away with everything through this consent where we are consenting. And then just going back to the number 7, so in Germanic terms, where it says 7 is he who is Lord of vastness, master of space, and key of the times. In shamanic context, that really fits with we have like 7 ancestors going backwards, and it's 7 ancestors going forward, so future ancestors that we're here now to, and this corresponds to the return of Christ consciousness, that in every 7 generations there's someone that's then going to repair all the trauma and everything that's gone 7 generations back, and that's going to then fix everything for 7 generations going forwards, and then later on to fix, and after 7 generations someone else will come along and deal with that for them. But yeah, interesting stuff with that then corresponding with the return of Christ consciousness. So in these generations that are now existing in these times, we can be repairing all the trauma that's gone before us, and the revelations coming through, the knowledge, so for us to stand and go, okay, yeah, right, let's sort this out.
Can I add something I'd like to add to that, Craig, if you don't mind?
Yeah, you go ahead.
It's unique because the Saturn time matrix, the cube, it consists of 2,160 degrees, and everywhere you look with 9 and all the Platonic numbers, they all add up to 9. But that Saturn, that cube, is 2,160 degrees, which is also exactly 1/12 of the great cycle. Each zodiac rules 2,160 years. But that 7 generations you just talked about, the Bible talks about 3 sets of 14 generations, 42 months. If you do the math on that, 3.5 times a circle, 360 degrees, is 1,260. And if you do it the other way around, on the other number, it's 1,260 again. Well, what's unique about that is that biblically with numbers, 1 is God, 2 is man, 6 is your earthly presence here on this earth doing earthly things. 0 is the universe. But in the Saturn matrix, man is before God. So it should be the other way around, where God is before man.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I love that. Can you write those maths down?
Yeah, I got it all wrote down.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, if you could put it in the chat.
I will, definitely.
But yeah, great.
So what I'm going to do is just share back to the Emerald tablets so we can have a look at what was next. So he's talking about following the heart. When you've gained riches, follow your heart. For all of these are of no avail if thine heart be weary. Diminish thou not the time of following thine heart. It is abhorred of the soul. So basically, like, even when you are like, you know, if you did become a master magician and you become a millionaire and stuff, is just literally saying still always follow your heart. Your heart will always guide you home. That's what they say, isn't it? Yes, and this is what you were saying, Derek, about finding the straight path. The straight path as well, like, is your literal spine. Your spine is in the center, isn't it? So your chakras, when your chakras are aligned, it's the straight path up to your crown chakra where you can then become enlightened. And exactly what Craig was talking about, it's attaining Christ consciousness. When you do this, when it awakens your dormant DNA and stuff, and you incarnate your higher self, you incarnate Christ consciousness, because Christ, or the word Christ actually just means anointed, but Christ is our higher selves, because the sun is everyone's higher self. The sun is like the portal of God's light into this cosmos, and Jesus Christ was the sun. And so when you attain enlightenment, which is what's coming for everyone, if you want it, you attain your Christ consciousness, and of course the Christ consciousness will return to this plane. So that let's see what else this is saying here. So what he was also talking about here then is just basically saying, even if you get all this great wisdom, it's about in the importance of listening to others as well, and accepting and taking in their ideas and things like that. So he's saying here, silence is of great profit, and an abundance of speech profiteth nothing. So that people say, don't they, oh, you've got 2 ears to listen and 1 mouth to talk. So it's the importance of actually listening to people and taking in their perspective, rather than just pretending or thinking that you know it all, and having the wisdom, but sharing it in a caring way through your heart and through love. And again, all the importance of having like an open heart and being filled with love and coming from love, rather than from the ego, basically. So again, if thou be great among men, be honoured for knowledge and gentleness. If thou seekest to know the nature of a friend, ask not his companion, but pass a time alone with him, debate with him, testing his heart by his words and his bearing. So these are just kind of like him explaining how to be a good person, really. That which goeth into the storehouse must come forth, and the things that are thine must be shared with a friend. Knowledge is regarded by the fool as ignorance, and the things that are profitable are to him hurtful. He liveth in death, it is therefore his food. So there's like a saying, and people say like, oh, you shouldn't throw your pearls to swine. And basically, a lot of you guys on the spiritual path will have noticed, like most recently, people calling you crazy or stupid, or thinking that you are the one that's like lost the plot for literally doing a bit of research, or for, you know, seeing more than they are. And people will be calling you the silly or the ignorant one. And where it's saying here, he liveth in death, it is therefore his food. Those who are like basically not awake are literally just living in darkness, they're living in the ego, and they aren't awoken to God's light and to the light of the cosmos and to the light within themselves. And so it can be almost sometimes hard to actually share the truth and the wisdom with them, without them thinking that you're the one that's foolish and ignorant. And this is quite nice. The wise man lets his heart overflow, but keeps silent his mouth. So sometimes it's even wiser to literally just not say anything, because again, people can cast spells on you, they can label you, they can try and put you down and things like that. And one of the most important things that I've learned about particularly these times is sometimes I can be like, I just really want to help like my family, I want to like tell them all the truth and what's going on and awaken them and stuff like that. But then sometimes it's better for you to just do your own spiritual work and to allow your own light and your own energy just being around them to kind of like encode in them what they need to awaken and heal and stuff. And it's similar to what Craig was saying about you being that person to break the karmic chains of the 7 generations before you and the 7 generations after you. Sometimes you don't need to be trying to share all the knowledge and share all the truth. You can literally just do the healing and the work yourself and focus on that and allow your heart and your own energy to awaken those around you, because it will. You don't have to be physically sharing everything that you find out. You can literally just allow your energy to do it. And sometimes that's a better path to take. So listen to the voice of wisdom, listen to the voice of light. Mysteries there are in the cosmos that unveiled fill the world with their light. Let he who would be free from the bonds of darkness first divine the material from the immaterial, the fire from the earth. For know ye that as earth descends to earth, also fire ascends unto fire and becomes one with fire. He who knows the fire that is within himself shall ascend until the eternal fire and dwell in it eternally. So it's kind of like that ashes to ashes, dust to dust thing. Like you're from the earth, your body will stay on the earth. This is like the material plane. But what's important to focus on is the spiritual and the eternal fire, your soul basically within yourself. And this is one of the most important things that I try and tell people is like, you are literally on this earth plane to try and ascend and to like do the healing and to do the work. So whether you do it in this life or whether you do it in 1,000 lives to come, you will end up having to do this work and this shadow work at some point. So I always say like, it's just important to do the work now, like just start doing it. Philippe, did you have something to say, or is your hand just up from earlier?
Yes. You were saying earlier how it's like you can't really force people to take the knowledge, it's like you can't force the horse to drink water. Or I learned recently also the heart, when it sends blood to the body, it goes first through the aorta and that goes like immediately back into itself. So it's like you help yourself before you can help others, which is pretty interesting.
That is cool. I didn't know that as well. It's so true. It's literally the only or the best and most important way you could ever help heal the world is through healing yourself first. And that's really the only main thing we have control over. So like it just makes complete sense to start there anyway.
Can I also say something?
Yeah.
We are all mirrors of ourselves. So yes, helping us ourselves helps everyone else, and helping everyone else helps ourselves. But also, I want to say like we're the only thing in the world that no one else knows. So finding out about yourself is the best thing for, I want to say source, because it'll help it understand itself more and more as more people understand themselves and the vast expanse of all of it. That's
such a cool way to look at it, and it's so true. Like I sometimes have people saying to me, hey Gab, will you tell me what my guides' names are? Or will you like tell me what I need to work on? And I'm like, the information, like the wisdom on that is literally going to come from you. Like you tell me what you think you need to work on. And it's easy for us to kind of want other people to tell us the validation or that we're doing okay or who we are and what we are and stuff, because I don't know, maybe we just don't have the belief in ourselves that we can access that knowledge. But it's once you do start trusting yourself and trusting your intuition, it's the most important thing, because the biggest thing that people talk about is know thyself. And how do you ever know thyself if you don't even give yourself the chance to get to know yourself?
Yeah, it's hard to believe, realize that people don't see that or hear that. I mean, Jesus said to go within, Buddha said to go within, Krishna said to go within. You know, it's in that darkness is when you learn, right? You know, you have to go through those trials and tribulations.
Mm-hmm.
The some Native American tribes, they would have their men before, as like going on to manhood, go out into the woods alone and be alone for a while so that they could, I guess, understand themselves and truly find themselves, and that they'd come back as men or something like that. It's like something I read somewhere. I'm not sure. I didn't go
Yeah.
too much into it, but it was quite interesting.
Yeah, I remember hearing a long time ago that when Uranus parted from Gaia, or Father Time and Mother Earth, however you want to look at it, he said, you know, how do we keep this hidden but obtainable? And God said, put it in the air, in the sky. And Mother Earth said, no, man will grow wings and learn to fly. He said, I'll put it at the bottom of the ocean. She said, no, man will learn to swim. He'll find it there. Put it in a volcano. No, he'll learn, he'll get the heat, he'll go. And he goes, I got it. I'll put it in himself. He'll never find it there.
That's crazy. It's amazing.
And in here as well, in this text, for anyone who's just joined us on TikTok, we are reading the Emerald Tablets, chapter 3. But the text is saying that the inner fire is the most potent of all force, for it overcometh all things and penetrates to all things of earth. So the inner fire is this like divine wisdom. It's your soul's intuition. It's literally your soul, basically, in the light within yourself. So yes, 1000%, it's all about connecting to your soul and learning who you are, because it is hard when you come to this earth plane, you forget everything, like fully, just everything's like you just start from scratch and stuff. It's not an easy task. So let's see what else it says. Yeah, all eyes do not see with the same vision, for to one an object appears of one form and colour, and to a different eye of another. So also the infinite fire, changing from colour to colour, is never the same from day to day. So this is like, do you think this could be talking about, because what I'm learning about a lot about magic is obviously there's different planets, there's different energies that govern the cosmos, and so from day to day you utilize different energies to perform magic in the best way. As an example, like on a Monday, which is governed by the moon, you can call upon the moon to assist you in magic for intuition and things like that. Whereas like say on like Wednesday, which is the day of Mercury, which is the god Thoth, he's about like messenger, he's about like communication and stuff, and so this is a good day to utilize that energy. So when it's talking here about the infinite fire is changing from color to color and it's never the same from day to day, do you think it could also be talking about how the light of the cosmos and the energies of the cosmos are always like ever changing and ever flowing? And do you think that could be like one of the things it's talking about when it's talking about the infinite
He's
fire?
talking about, go ahead, Joe.
The way I'm reading it, it's like accept difference, because everything is seen differently by everybody. So to me, it's saying more about accept the differences in each other, because we all see it differently, and all the colours and everything else. But yeah, possibly what you were saying as well.
I
To
think
me, it's your pineal gland. So your two eyes, not everybody sees the same, because everybody has a different perspective on what they see with their eyes. but your eyes see upside down and backwards. Your pineal gland is your true eye. You know, it's your optic thalamus. That is your third eye. It's, you know, it's a crystal formed pine cone that acts like it's a penis of electricity. I mean, that's literally what it is. But is that using that third eye, not using your two eyes, what you see, your senses, but using source, true knowledge to go within, and then keeping that light not in just one chakra, but all of them formed together as a staff. And then you have your aura is illuminated. So now you are not just one in particular color or dwelling in a certain area, a certain chakra or resistance. Each chakra you go up, you open that disc, that energy, and it goes up. And and ohms that's the measure of electrical resistance. And so when you ohm, that's primordial creation. That's the sound of creation. That's rising that energy to blend the color spectrum of the rainbow together. You know, green is what we see the most in. Well, the green is your heart. Heart is an anagram for earth, but you can't see just in one spectrum. You know, you have to be able to see the truth in every spectrum.
Well said, Derek. Very lovely.
Yeah. Something interesting about that you were saying about the word, did you say green? You say earth is an anagram of heart, isn't it?
Yeah. And then green is what we see the most in, but it's also the only color to vibrate or resonate in the same color that it does in sound. 528 frequency.
Right, okay. Something interesting that I've learned with like spellcasting and stuff is the word energy is an anagram of like greenery. And obviously that's the heart chakra and it's just one ray of light. It's not the whole spectrum. So when I've ever been like sent negative energy and I'll say, hey, I delete all negative energy off me, sometimes some energy still remains. So I'm like, what is that? Why did it not go from that spell? Well, when you delete the negative energy, because it's an anagram of greenery, it's possible that all you're deleting is just that green ray and that the other color spectrums of energy or vibration are like still on you or around you. So when you're trying to get rid of negative energy, if you only say the word energy, you're only getting rid of the negative green ray because it's the anagram of greenery. And so that's why the other stuff still remains. So when you are trying to fill yourself with positive energy, it's possible that it's only filling you with that one ray of energy. And so you could say instead, like, I fill myself with the rainbow of light, or I get rid of all negative like vibrations or something, rather than this word energy, because it's possible that it limits you just to that one ray, which I thought was quite interesting. Like you were saying that as well, with heart on the earth. So
I think it's also saying like, I think we're all right in what we're saying because we all have like different understandings of the world and stuff. And like some people see auras and some people don't. So they could like see a person that the way they're dressed might be in society like negative in a way, but they can have like a real positive aura. And so someone will be like, oh, that's a really good person. And then someone will say, oh no, that person's real bad. And so it's like just a different view of things.
that is very true. Craig, have you brought us a sound bowl, a singing bowl? Is it 528?
It's 528 hertz green. You can't really see it in the
green.
Okay, yeah.
That's a 528 crystal ball.
Ironically enough, this week is a comet so that you can only see once every 50,000 years, and it'll be here in a matter of like 3 or 4 days. It's a green colored comet.
Wow.
It's amazing.
In the age of Aquarius of enlightenment, which is ruled by Uranus, power, knowledge, true knowledge. Aquarius is the water bearer, which is water ripples, which is not water physically, but rays of light. And those rays of light are arc angles of light. That arc angle goes through your pineal gland or your two eyes to your pineal gland, and it creates an electrical arc connection in your body. That is enlightenment. So God is water. We are light. We are stars. We are star beings in a physical body. And that's why you're a cis star, a past star, a disaster star, a moon star, a rock star, and a superstar.
And a mist star.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Right. Oh, look, man is a star. How convenient. So, yeah, man is a star bound to a body, literally exactly what you were just saying. Until the end, he is freed through his strife. So this is what we were talking about earlier, actually. It's the struggle and toiling that basically the star will bloom out in new life. And it's basically the inward struggle or the darkness in your life that ends up making you turn inwards and finding the light within yourself. So remember, oh man, that all which exists is only another form of that which exists not. Everything that has being is passing into yet other being, and thou thyself are not an exception. Consider the law, for all is law. Seek not that which is not of the law, for such exists only in the illusions of the senses. So this is that same law we were talking about earlier, God's law, and anything else that is not in God's law is literally just an illusion. And that is what this matrix reality is. It is an illusion of the senses. And so often people nowadays try and rely on the senses to judge the world, which is exactly what Philippe was saying as well. Judging someone based on their appearance, it's the senses, rather than using your true inner wisdom, this divine spark of light, your intuition, being guided by your own soul to really see through the illusion and to live by God's law, to actually perceive the spiritual realms and the spiritual world, and to perceive the light and the spirituality in all beings, and to see this unique perspective and the oneness that everyone has. So wisdom comes to all her children, even as they cometh to wisdom. All through the ages the light has been hidden. Awake, O man, and be wise. That as well sounds pretty relevant today. It's like, guys, we need to wake up now, like start being intelligent with things, using our brains, because again, like how often have people just been told what to do, and like you go to school and they just teach you, right, remember all of this stuff, and this is what you need to do in a test, is just recall all of this stuff that you've learned from the history books, and then like that's you've been taught at school, rather than like teaching us how to think for ourselves and stuff. And it's when you learn to think for yourself and follow your divine guidance that you really actually find true wisdom within yourself. So this is Thoth talking again, like he's basically just had this real thirst for learning the deep mysteries of life, and he's really been on his own path of going within and finding the wisdom within himself. And when he talks about these halls of Amenti, he's talking about when he did become enlightened, he met God, he met the gods, and he went to like a heaven on earth state, which could be like a bit of like a inner meditation. He went to heaven on earth in his mind, the same as when Jacob met God at the place of Peniel. And he was given these secrets of the universe that most men don't get to experience unless they do become enlightened. And just to say, enlightenment is literally like our normal natural state. This is the state we're all actually meant to be in. What's happened is we descended, we became unenlightened, and now we think that it's normal to be over emotional about things and to live a life of like stress and like fast pacedness. And it's actually not. Like, we're all actually meant to be enlightened, and so this is what's coming back. But it's like a God-given right, and everyone should be and can be enlightened. So Thoth is just talking again about how he's been on this journey, he's done the spiritual work, he's found the fire and the light within himself. And we were talking in the chapter 2 about these different lords, because obviously we spoke earlier about the numbered lords and how it might be talking about numerology, but he also spoke about these 7 overlords in chapter 2. And these 7 overlords were the 7 main luminaries, or the planetary gods that we see in the sky. And these 7 gods are the 7 energies that govern like the 7 days of the week. They govern the 7 chakras. They govern the 7 rays of light in the rainbow. And so these lords he mentions in here. And so again, it's just tying in astrology, astrotheology, and the different truths that you find in all different paths in this text. So yeah, with the sons of the cycles as well, these cycles are the heavenly cycles, the planetary cycles, and these are the masters of wisdom. The planets are basically souls who are ascended, they're enlightened, they are gods and goddesses, and they come down from time to time to assist. And for anyone new that's watching, Thoth, who wrote these emerald tablets, he is the god Mercury. He is the planet Mercury. His soul is Mercury, and he came down and incarnated to teach this truth. And so here he's talking about these gods. They came down far from the future, formless yet forming, came they as teachers for the children of men. Now it's interesting that it said far from the future, because people talk about this time that we're in right now actually being in the past, and that our higher selves have come to this timeline to change the future, and that we're actually from the future and we've come here to change it. And something interesting and a bit sad as well that I saw recently was there was a photo of a baby who'd just been born, and it was born from a woman who'd had the jab, and it had like black eyes, fully black eyes. And I don't know whether that was to do with the jab or whether it's to do like with complications or whatever it is, but someone was saying that the children that are being born now with the genetic moderations are actually going to evolve into the greys, the alien race. The greys are the genetically modified humans, and they are like a future timeline of the children that are being born today. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I thought that was kind of like strange and interesting here how he's talking about far from the future. Like, again, are these gods coming to past timelines to assist? Is it because I kind of thought they could just coming down and descending down to the earth plane, but I didn't think that they were jumping back in time. But could it be that all of heaven and all of the gods are the future and all of the lower planes are the past? Or what do you guys think about all of this?
Yeah, I think it's curious that they use the word formless, because that's the same way in the beginning of Genesis it was without void, right? So you had your 7 days of creation, or your 6 days, and then your 6th day rested on the 7th. Well, 6 is earthly again, it's carbon based. You are of earth, you're of this realm. It's not exactly the days and the Sabbath. I mean, that's just a story. It's the flower of life. It's the first primordial circle, then it moves, makes another circle. It forms the seed of life without form. Until that 7th circle or 8th circle is placed, you don't have form, which you don't have matter. So that's the creation of matter. But also then in Hebrew, Elohim, right? So the gods, and they made it in their image, to recreate in their image, which meant there was man created before. So maybe there was man here on this earth before that didn't have this divine creation of the 7, and it caused just destruction and turmoil on the planet. And then so maybe there was a great flood, and then they decided this time we're going to take a little bit of all of us and put this into man. And this is where the term Elohim comes in, and gods. So they're not gods as in rulers. They have the capability to use these pieces. Like a carpenter can build a house. But can he say he built the whole house? Well, no, he didn't mill the wood. He didn't make the flooring or the cabinets. He took those pieces and he put a house together. Well, that's what the 7 are doing with us. They're not the source creation, but they're able to take those pieces and make the best of them.
Mhm.
But then it's up to us to use them as virtues and not vices.
Mhm. And I think when we actually ascend and become enlightened and God's on this plane, we can actually have control over them. So at the minute, they control our lives with their energies and they put us through tests and things like that. But eventually, when we do ascend and become the masters of our own reality, we can actually use their energies. And I don't know if it's in this text or maybe in the Kybalion, but Thoth or Hermes talks about this, and he says that when you do ascend, you then override the energies that govern the cosmos and you become like the creator of your own cosmos.
That's
Which-
why I think they took them out of the Bible, right? They, this is not, Enoch, because Hermes, Thoth is Enoch, and in Enoch it talks about reincarnation, flat earth. He rose above, was able to see everything from the throne above. That is your pineal, that is the pineal gland, that's the throne above. But he was able to, like you said earlier, exactly hit the nail on the head. The meditation or ascended state allowed him to gain this knowledge.
It's sorry,
I
Dave.
think so like they tell you the truth in media and things like that. So like the world tells you like the truth of yourself and these little things, and you gotta like be able to like find it in things. So like the character, the Flash, in one of his creation, he became the lightning bolt that gave him the power eventually. So that's interesting to hear. It's like they're creating us and helping us ascend to become them, to help go back in time and help us become them, us in a process like that. Also, it's like I've read somewhere that back when Atlantis, before it became Atlantis, there was a few other beings that came from Mars, and they were more masculine, dominant with their energy. And on our planet, it was more feminine. And then somewhere else, not somewhere else, another beings of people, the, I want to say they had the Kabbalah. So that was their thing. And they were us from the future, apparently. So that's something I read and thought was very interesting. And they also had their energies and understandings of things and their Merkabas and stuff like that. So it's that, like what you were talking about, how they came from the future and the time connected with some stuff that I learned in the past before. So it was very interesting.
It's pretty cool thinking about all this kind of like timeline stuff. Craig, quantum jumper, what are you thinking about all of this past, present, future, like parallel timelines? Like what's going on?
Well, this is exactly what we're doing when we're quantum jumping. We're going to other timelines. We're time traveling. In shamanic terms, we don't look at time as an arrow beginning to an end. So there's no that starts here. It's more of a cycle of time, sort of a wheel of time that can be wound back and forwards consciously through reaching higher states of consciousness. So through meditation, currently I use hypnosis to get into the state. So when I'm working with groups, we use hypnosis to then just switch off the body, so go into the body asleep, mind awake state, so we can then travel time as we wish to, and we can then go into parallel realities as well, where things are happening for us, which we could, if we can think about it, then it's happening in another reality. So, and we activate it. We activate that reality through our conscious thought and directed thought, and directing our etheric energy field to move into that reality, and then that becomes a conscious reality that we can then bring that energy back into this time, into this reality. So that's effectively what we're doing. And so the time is now. It's all happening. There's a great film actually that I highly recommend, Everything Everywhere All at Once. So it's in the title. We are everything everywhere all at once. So it's all happening now. So we just have to become conscious of those other selves, those other realities that are happening right now, and we can just bring that in. So yeah, we are able to deal with this now. We are time travelers, and yeah, I totally get what you're saying about like the children now becoming greys, and we are here to sort out this timeline and to avert that as much as we possibly can. You know? So yeah.
I've not watched that movie, but it's like I keep getting like told about it, so I feel like I need to watch it now.
It's very good. It's really good.
Is it? What I would be interested to wonder is like, obviously people talk about like this being the end times, and I believe like it's not like the end is in everyone's going to die, but more like the end of an old age and coming into a new. But the transition that's going to look like, do you believe that like we can literally choose what like the timeline that we want it to happen? Like, so if you really believe there's going to be another great flood, do you reckon you might experience that, whereas I might experience the most divine like ascension ever, because that's what I believe is going to happen? Like, or do you think there's going to be a collective timeline that everyone experiences together?
Well, I think we're going to experience different realities if that's where our focus is. You know, like you're saying, energy goes where attention, attention goes where energy flows. So you know, we can experience different timelines, and actually, so I've been planning on releasing a quantum jumping app I've got in development with some friends. So that's a bit top secret, but no, I've just told loads of people. But yeah, we're so we're hopefully going to be conjuring up some group timelines within the quantum jumping app. So might be something I'd like to stay in touch with everyone on here about as well. Might want to tune into that when it comes out. So if you want to experience some group timelines and bring in some group realities, we're going to have some mapping as well. So when people are online, you can see when lots of people are online and what so the quantum jumps will be themed. So the different timelines, different realities that we can bring into play at different times with various people, and maybe we'll align that up with some astrology as well. So we've got some good. We've got 2 astrologers on board and some hypnosis people. So talking about bringing some group timeline realities. So yeah, wherever our attention goes, that's what we can bring in.
It's an important thing as well, is being aware of like doing stuff collectively, like collective meditations, or doing it together, all focusing on the same timeline and stuff. It's something I've noticed with magic or anything, is that the more people that focus on it all at the same time, it manifests quicker. And something that's quite interesting as well is obviously we're all a different zodiac, so we all have like a different energy signature almost. Some of us are like air, some of them are water signs, some of them are earth signs, fire signs, and we affect each other differently. And so you'll notice a lot of like air and fire signs can affect each other positively and negatively a lot more than say a water sign could affect like an air sign. So air and fire seem to go together quite well, and water and earth do. And I always think like it would be really interesting if you could get one person from each of the zodiac sign together and try and do some kind of like group manifesting of something or whatever. Like you're literally covering every energy in the zodiac and in the cosmos, and it would be really cool to see what you could manifest. And I think there's even like, I saw something in a scripture, it was talking about raising someone from the dead, and it talked about how you would need, I think that it said a number of like 120 people to raise someone from the dead. And what I worked out was that it would be a male and a female from every single zodiac sign. And don't quote me now if that's it, because I can't do the quick maths, so I can't tell whether that's correct or not. But whatever the number was, it worked out that you would need a male and a female of every zodiac sign to be able to bring people back from the dead. So I just think it'd be so interesting to think or to figure out or experiment on what we could really achieve if we had like all the energies together, like all doing this group manifestation and this group quantum jumping or whatever it is. I think it'd be really cool.
As much as I love numbers and math and science and just philosophy, and it all makes sense, you still have to remember time is an illusion, right? So if it's a matrix, a time matrix we live in, or we place ourselves under, there's still some sort of illusion to that, right? But there is some truth to the ages, and we are in the Iron Age. Well, what rules us is fear. Well, what is iron on the periodic table? Fe. And then what is it? It's in the air. FEAR, fear. So fear is dominating this realm. It literally is the Iron Age. It's right in the word iron. It's in your air you breathe. It's fear. Until you can get past that fear, until you can go within and realize there is no one answer, there's no one path, there is truth in everything. Even if there was a person on here that hated all of us and thought we were crazy, there is truth in him, in the fact that he's in a cycle. He's in a cosmic cycle and he's learning. Maybe he just got spit out of the system. Maybe I've been rode hard, put up wet. I've been around, so I know a little more. But we're all part of that same cycle. We are all one. And that's what to be spiritual, to be an enlightener, you have to realize that and see the good, the truth, the God in everything, the source in everything, the destruction, the good, the bad, the ugly. There is no white man on a cloud. There is Libra and the scales, but it's a cosmic scale. Just because something bad happened to you doesn't mean you immediately get something good in return. But it's that faith that there is a balance, there is a karmic, an alignment, there is something greater than just the man's 10 commandments or the Egyptian Book of the Dead. There's a cosmic torus field, and it's a cycle, 3, 6, 9, electricity, dielectricity, magnetism, however you want to look at it. It's a cycle that has to run its course. But we're not just this body. We're a mind, conscious, and soul, right? So the body dies, but then your soul, your spirit doesn't. So there's something more to that. I don't know all those answers yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was just thinking, like, all of us have so much knowledge, and there's so much knowledge and information in the world about like the truth of the universe and source and everything. So it's like super important to just be open to all of it and take what connects with you in your time of life and being, right? But it's also correct, like it's all happening at the same time, that one instant of life. It's just happening right all now. It's amazing that we're able to live in the segment and experience it slowly. Because even like the first, I don't know the smallest amount of time, but in the smallest amount of time, it's like from that to a second is like as big as 1 trillion steps or something like that. So it's just like so much is happening. It's great. It's intense. It's very, very wild. Wonderful, wonderful things.
I shared a picture in the group chat, if you guys would want to look at it. It's the Great Cycle, like a Platonic year, 25,920. And it's funny, like one click of that, one arc of degree is 72 years. Well, that's the average lifespan, 72 years. What is your average pH level? 7.2. 72, and 7 plus 2 is 9. Divine consciousness, divine completion. That number 72 is it comes up over and over and over and over again. How many heartbeats do you beat a day? It's all this, like the beats, your breaths, it's all the same number in time. It's 1440, 720, 432. Those numbers are constantly repeated, and those are the signs and symbols for us to pay attention to.
Mm.
And always be heart-centered with everything. Open-minded. All you need is love
Mm-hmm.
and a bit of understanding.
Which is literally what the tablets have been saying, particularly in this chapter. It's different, this chapter, to the others, but literally a lot of what those has been saying is like literally following your heart, and don't let wisdom like become your ego. Don't let it come from an egoic place, but instead follow your heart and be here and teach and spread truth with love, and your heart will always guide you home. So let's just see if there's any more to this chapter. So obviously we were reading here, actually, these were the numbers and the energies behind these numbers. So 3 holds the key of all hidden magic, creator he of the halls of the dead, sending forth power, shrouding with darkness, binding the souls of the children of men, sending the darkness, binding the soul force, director of negative to the children of men. Derek, would 3 have anything to do with Saturn? Because to me, like sending the darkness and like director of the negative to the children of men just reminds me of like the role that Saturn or like Satan plays, in the cosmos.
Yeah. What number does 3, you said? Yeah, I would say that it is, so he's the Lord of the Rings, right? So if you have the sun and the moon, which, controls your sun sign, your moon emotions, you still have the sun, Saturn, who is the Lord of the Rings. He's the judger. He's judge, jury, executioner. He'll give you the life lessons that you need to obtain the enlightenment that you came to Earth to achieve, right? So like soul contract or whatever you want to call it. Let's say you came here for a reason and you've forgotten that reason. You can dwell in the fact that you lost your job or you got divorced, right? Or you can eventually, that darkness turns the light, and that, like, so divorce is what did it for me. It was being in darkness and being in a bad place, but also knowing that I never really had a full light ahead of me, like what made me happy. But then the first time I heard it, I never really cared about school, could care less about religion or the Bible, any of the stuff. But I heard a passage and I knew it to be up, like my soul knew it to be true, and I never looked back. So I think that has to do with Israel, Isis, Ra, El. It goes back to the pineal gland, which is Saturn, which is what we've turned into Satan. That is El, the electricity. That is the third part. That is the dielectricity, electricity, magnetism. That's Saturn.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm just like, some of it's just like when your mind's blown and you're like, Jesus, what do you?
My name is Holy Trinity 369.
Yeah, so anyone who's been watching, Derek's actually been doing a lot of the talking in the chat as well. It's the Holy Trinity 369 on TikTok. So if you liking what you hear, he's going to be posting a lot more videos on his TikTok as well. So feel free to follow him. And do you guys have TikTok as well? Everyone who's on here today? Yeah, Jojo, what's your TikTok handle? Jojo's just going to unmute herself.
A bit technophobe. It's Jojo, interdimensional Jojo, I think. I go on and off it. I'm not really, well, I am bothered about followers, but I'm not really.
Yeah. Great.
But for the Holy Trinity, he's just amazing. He's blown my mind tonight completely.
I'm now on as Craig Khan. So yeah.
Fab.
Okay.
You guys want to post those in the chat so I can know how to spell them?
Yeah.
Philippe, are you on TikTok? You are, aren't you? Yeah.
Yes, I am. Smith 21st. Nothing too wild. Real simple. Yeah.
Will you share that as well, please?
I will. It's very interesting. The Saturn turned to Satan and the evilness. If you like, I think in the Bible, God says he is the light in the darkness or something like that. So really, there's no Satan. It's just God playing that part. So it's like he does all of that to help us grow, really, is what I feel like.
We are
My-
Satan. We are God. We are Jesus and God
Yes.
in the same aspect, or Jesus and Satan. That's why your sacrum, if you look at it, it's shaped like a heart, but it's also shaped like a shovel. So you can either have a heart to illuminate yourself up with the power of love, or you could have your spine and it's a shovel. You're just digging your grave into your lower emotions.
That reminds me of the card, you know, the deck of cards as well. You've got the red hearts and then you've got the black spades.
That's an amazing point. That is an
Dang.
amazing. But before they were red hearts, they were green hearts.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
If you look at the older decks, which would add up to your green chakras, the green light, the 528, all
That's
makes
intense.
sense. Double thing, that's hilarious. That's, you know, if you look at your coccyx, that's where the whole cartoon of the devil with the tail and the arrow on the end,
Right.
that is your spine, your sacrum, and your coccyx. That's, we are the same. We can be that same person. We can be the devil, or which is just, the devil is just lived, right? Anagram of lived, or it's live with a D on it, because you're down in your lower emotions. God is just an anagram for dog, Anubis, the dog star, or good. Good is God. You added the O in there.
Yeah. So, I don't know how we've got, oh yeah, we're almost there to the end now. So we're just going through the different gods, the different energies of the cosmos, the numerology. So 4 is he who loses the power, Lord he of life to the children of men. Light is his body, flame is his countenance, freer of souls to the children of men. 5 is the master, the Lord of all magic, key to the word that resounds among men. 6 is the Lord of light, the hidden pathway, part of the souls of the children of men. 7 is he who is Lord of the vastness, master of space and the key of the times. 8 is he who orders the progress, weighs and balances the journey of men. 9 is the Father, vast he of countenance, forming and changing form out of the formless. Meditate on the symbols I give thee, keys are they, though hidden from men. I'm just like, what symbols are you talking about? Those, like, I know he's talking about like these numbers and stuff, but does anyone have any ideas of what these symbols are he's talking about? Like when he's saying, meditate on the symbols I give thee.
I think they're mudras, as I would assume, like mudras, or the platonic solids, like knowing what your solids are, your tetrahedron, dodecahedron, and how those relate to your earth, air, water, fire. I would assume that would be those right there. But then also in the numbers, which there's a TikTok, and I was going to respond to her, Thea H6 on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
That the fallen angels, you know, those are angles of light. When we come to earth, we're light in a physical body. But if you read that passage, it is God's sitting down 1/3 of his angels, 66 in total, right? Yeah. So 66 in total, he's sitting down. So 22, but he sent them down. They landed on the 33rd parallel. So it's not, they weren't physically angels that flew down here, but were angles of light. Yeah. And then that's a symbolic representation back to 33rd parallel. 3 + 3 is 6. You're carbon, you're of this earth. But it's also for that oil to reach your optic thalamus, you have to get it to the 33rd vertebrae. So water, you're frozen in time or frozen in water at 32 degrees. You're frozen. Once you reach 33, now ice turns to water. now you're back liquid. You can rise again. You're not stuck or frozen. And that's where the whole 33rd degree Freemason comes from. You know, it's that illumination. It's that final state from solid to liquid. It's that final bit of acknowledgement. It's the capstone on the pyramid.
Right. And I think you probably said earlier, but they say that Jesus died at 33, and this is literally the symbology of him. Basically, he had an ego death and became enlightened at 33, and 33 is the number of pieces in your spine. What's the word? Like the number of vertebrae in your spine.
Yeah.
And of course,
yeah. It's also a torus field, the butterfly effect. That is your hips, your ovaries, your kidneys, your lungs. That butterfly, the 33, is just 3 mirrored. The Holy Trinity 3, if you mirror it over, it's 2 3s facing each other. That's the butterfly. That's the torus field. Those are all the little mini torus fields that are growing in your body that turn into what we call organs, right?
And it also, when you do back them together, but then just put them on top of each other, it's the number 8 or the infinity sign, which when you do ascend and become enlightened, when you ascend it up the 33 vertebrae of your spine, you then have infinite light within you, and you literally live forever. And something I was saying in the last 2 chapters is, those talks about when you do become enlightened and you do this work, you literally just don't die on this earth plane anymore. And even Jesus Christ in the Bible, he would say, hey, like, follow my path, like through me you will live forever. He wasn't talking about like on a soul level, because people go, oh, no, it's just your soul, like your soul will live forever. Well, no, because our souls already do live forever. So what he was talking about is being able to actually live forever on this plane. So, and it's what Thoth talks about as well. So
it's important to know too that Jesus died at 33. Christ was born at 30. So Jesus never came back. And so it's Christ. So Jesus, it was sacrificed. The oil is Christ, which is in Greek is Christos.
Yeah. I like that. It's like dying to your old self, and then it's like incarnating your higher self almost.
That's why Jacob was renamed to Israel. He had a struggle with a man. Well, that man is your lower emotions, your 5 earthly senses, your lower mind. That's the struggle. Well, he got past that struggle, and he met an angel who renamed him Israel.
Could those symbols be the planets in a way, maybe? Like, could or the zodiac numbers or something like that?
No, that's a great, 100% a great point.
Yeah, I definitely think so, because to me these like seem like he's talking about certain gods or energies that rule certain things. So I always kind of look at the planets and I'm like, oh, the 7 main planets, because of obviously the 7 days of the week, but the 9 can actually then include Neptune and Uranus. What about Pluto though? Would that be then the 10th?
No, Pluto's more part of this, I think, the spiritual realm somehow. I'm not 100%, but Pluto is a spiritual realm of Saturn. Right.
So yeah, I think you could be definitely onto something with these being representation of the planets. Not Freemason.
This is just the Bible that I got from Goodwill, but this is a sign and a symbol. So you have the G in the Freemason, right? Well, everybody says it's God or geometry. Well, the 7th letter of the alphabet is G. If you mirror, everything in this world is mirrored and backwards. If you mirror a 7, it's an L. The 12th letter of the alphabet is L. In Hebrew, God was known as El, E-L. So that's not God, that's not geometry, that's Saturn right there. And it's all signs and symbols, because a 7 mirrored is an L. L is the 12th, like 12 zodiacs. And who is the ruler of this ascension project? Saturn, who is El, the Elohim.
Dang. So anyone have anything else they wanted to share? Or
I'm just trying to process all this information because it's so much and it just connects to other things. So my subconscious is like just connecting things and then adding things or subtracting things. It's very wild. You guys are amazing people. Very, very thankful that you all exist and made it this far in life. And I'm excited to see where you go from here because it's just beautiful. So thank
Hey,
you.
I didn't make it this far. I got burnt down and I was renamed.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful process. It's how it be. It's how it
Started
be.
over.
You know, and it just makes you stronger, you know? Yeah.
It does.
I've loved it, Gabby. Just learning about the Emerald Tablet. It's my first time, so just going, whoo, my head's blown.
This has been a phenomenal passage. I really love this chapter.
Yeah. But I mean, what you've got to say is, and the way you say it is so succinct, Derek. It's like just puts it all in form, doesn't it? And I knew Gabby as well, but it's just the way you've delivered it and in a way that's understandable, but also how you can interpret it in your own everyday life. So thank you. That's what I want to say.
Thank all of you.
Yeah,
It's been great coming on this third one, which totally sort of aligns with what's going on for me at the moment. So it's all very well aligned, and appreciate both your presentation on the subject matter, which is like Joe was saying, so it's all very relatable stuff, and great. Look forward to more.
yeah, it's been so fun having everyone on. I'll finish reading this last little bit, and then if there's any last bits we want to add, but yeah, like it's just so funny because this whole chapter is talking about like wisdom, seeing everyone's perspective, sharing the truth, sharing the light, and it's like, what have we done today but done all that? And it's just so nice to get everyone on and to not just be doing this on my own, but to have all of you guys and like the beautiful energy that you've been held in, and like the wisdom and your open hearts and stuff to like share and receive and like, you know, be together and work together. I think just it's so important now more than ever that we just come together as like one and like help each other rather than, you know, trying to do everything on our own. And this is even includes everyone who's been on TikTok, everyone who's joined us on YouTube. It's just been so nice to have everyone together. So let's just finish this last little bit then. So talking about these different numbers and the energies that they hold. So in fact, we got to hear meditate on the symbols I give thee. So it would be interesting maybe for the next chapter. I still feel like there's something going on with this that's not come to me yet. So it'd be interesting in the next chapter to see if anything comes to us for next time. Like, oh my gosh, I know what those symbols are. So yeah, reach ever upwards, O soul of the morning, turn thy thoughts upwards to light and to life, finding the keys of the numbers I bring thee, light on the pathway from life until life. Seek ye with wisdom, turn thy thoughts inward, close not thy mind to the flower of light. Place in thy body a thought-formed picture. Think of the numbers that lead thee to life. Clear is the pathway to he who has wisdom. Open the door to the kingdom of light. Pour forth thy flame as a sun of the morning. Shut out the darkness and live in the day. Take thee, O man, as part of thy being, the seven, who are but are not as they seem. Opened, O man, have I my wisdom. Follow the path in the way I have led. Masters of wisdom, son of the morning, light and life to the children of men. So there we go. That's chapter 3 done. So that's everything. The next chapter then is, this one looks interesting. This will be for next time then. It's called The Space Born. So this seems like it's going to be an interesting read ahead. So I'm not sure when I'll do it next. It'll probably be in about 2 weeks' time again. So I'll let everyone know. And thanks so much to everyone for joining us, everyone on TikTok, everyone on YouTube, and all of you guys on the Zoom call as well. Does anyone have anything that they want to finish off with? Or
I just to say one last thing that, and you guys have all already said it, but that ending was perfect. that Jesus said he's the light. If you follow him in darkness, you'll always be able to see. He also said, if thy single eye be open, your body will fill with light. So meditation, when you meditate and your eyes are closed, roll your eyes up and look towards your pineal gland when meditating, and imagine that pineal gland opening those crystals, and just kind of roll your eyes up and look up towards the heaven. Heaven's a lot closer than you ever could imagine.
Mm.
I love that.
Oh, I just want to say thanks, and I'm going now.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, everyone. And we will see you guys in the next one then, hopefully. Have an awesome night, guys. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon.